shit, that didn't do a thing. Do your thing. Do your damn thing. There. Welcome everybody. This is Husel with a Problem. I am a discombobulated mess today. Trying to get everything done while I can. I don't think I'll be able to go a full 2 hours today. I'll probably have to finish around 3:30 my time. Looking at the clock. I got shit to do, baby. STD, shit to do. So today the market was being weird. A lot of the banks were green for absolutely no reason. We're getting further news that Sicnic, which is the other Chinese real estate company based out of Shanghai, is probably going to default on something like $250 million in interest payments on bonds that they have. So, you know, the Chinese real estate bubble continues to go pop. And, yeah, and Evergrande, they're not going to pay squat. So anybody who has bonds from outside China, you're screwed. You're not going to get any money. And that's about $200 billion worth of you, maybe more. More news came out about Evergrande that the owner of the company took out $8 billion in profit for themselves and then forced employees to raise money from their family members, borrow money from their family members to invest in the company. And now they're not getting paid. So, there's going to be a lot of angry people in China over this. Let's see, what else is happening? Get It Got did another survey, though he thinks this one may have been clowned a bit by others. On the far end, it might be as many as 7.7 billion shares. That seems like quite a lot. But think about it, even if it's a billion shares, if it's a billion shares owned by Americans, that's just U.S. people that own, 20 times the float. So 2,000% the float. So it's very likely that there's a lot of shares owned worldwide. And surveys and statistics done in Germany and Canada show that the people there own the float of GameStop. So there's a lot of synthetics that are bouncing around, as we all know. Yeah, so let's jump into it. There was... Apollo God asked, thoughts on the Great Reset? Klaus Schwab said, you own nothing and be happy. Now let's say world government collapses, economy stopping MOAS, bringing in digital currency centralized. We can say the NWO is conspiracy, but honestly, I believe there is a shadow government doing this behind the scenes, and now GameStop is messing their plans. Well, as my little sister, who's a chief of staff for like some big time, Fortune 100 CEOs in her time, she has said, if the Illuminati or shadow government or New World Order was a real thing, I would work for them in a heartbeat because no one I've experienced is that organized. So it's really hard. It's really, really, really hard to get a bunch of sociopaths and psychopaths to work together. They all want to be on top and they all want to do their own thing. So I don't know if there's necessarily like a shadow government or a New World Organization or anything like that. But if there is, they have an organization structure devoid of people with unchecked personality disorders that is absolutely phenomenal. So I don't think it's the case because people are generally awful when they get into positions of power like that, and they just backstab each other all the time, and then they spent so much time backstabbing each other that nothing ever else gets done. I do think that GME and the meme stock saga is definitely was not pictured by the folks who were making quick bucks off everything for the last 30 years by naked shorting. They really thought they're going to get away with this forever, and there's absolutely no way that they can. They finally caught up to them, and that's what happens every time there's a loophole in the market, is that it catches up to them eventually. I mean, 13 years ago, they thought the mortgage-backed securities were going to go on forever and nothing could ever touch them. And everyone was making money hand over fist, but it was all short-term gains, and then the long-term bit them in the butt. So right now, they had 30 years of short-term gains, and now the longs are going to bite them in the butt, as always happens. So I definitely think that the powers that be didn't see this coming, or at least the ones that were making bank off of this, they didn't care. And now that the comeuppance is coming, they're desperately trying to figure out a way out of it, and I don't think there is. At most they can delay the inevitable, and that's about it. PB Super Chats. Thoughts on the Mike Berry getting subpoena for GME case, please? I think it's interesting that he's getting subpoenaed. I'm not sure what they're subpoenaing from him, what information he could possibly have that would be of interest to the SEC or government investigators, because all he does is, goes long or goes short on things. And he's not an insider. He's not manipulating the market. He's really paranoid, that's for sure. But, he seems to have good reason to be paranoid simply because he got subpoenaed again. But it'll be interesting to see what transpires from that. I wonder if it's similar to GameStop having to pass over documents back in May. And GameStop's like, this has nothing to do with us. It has to do with people who are trading our stock. Wink, 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 wink. So... yeah, we'll see where that goes. I don't think Burry has anything to be scared of. He just trades and posts really paranoid tweets every once in a while after he deletes his account and then puts it back up, and then deletes his account and puts it back up. So, according to Burry, everyone's out to get him. Maybe they are. I don't know. All right. Somebody had asked Hadron Collider. Oh, wait. No. Somebody wants me to do a Google thing right off the bat here. Go there. Go to Google Earth. Clickety-clack. Paste that and search Reno. Where are we going? We're going to the Southern Hemisphere. Heading south. We are in Chile. We are on a hill in Chile. Houston, can you check these out? I am checking out a hill in Chile. If I zoom in, anything there? 9. What am I looking at? Man, you guys like to send me to nowhere. There's nothing there. What's this thing? That is a cloud. Okay. That looks like a farm. That looks like a desert. The Atacama. And I don't think... nothing else interesting around there. Some more farms. A river. Man. Ricardo, there's nothing there. Send me nowhere. Oh man. Oh, I just realized you just put me into a checkmate, because if I click on Big Houston, my intro is going to start because I forgot to turn it off. And I have no way of clicking on it without it going on. Prepare yourselves. Ready? 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go real quick. There we go. Oh, I always forget to turn that thing off when I go between scenes. I don't like that it just pops this thing up. Okay. Darcy Shields asks, "Hi Houston, can you tell us what the purpose of the Hadron Collider is for?" The Hadron Collider was to be the biggest, baddest particle accelerator. The reason why they build really big particle accelerators is they can get the particles to faster and faster speeds with bigger and bigger chambers. They can get these particles spinning around and around and around and around and around at faster and faster speeds, closer to the speed of light, because their goal is to get things as close to the speed of light as possible, and they smack them into each other. And they smack into each other with such force that it basically breaks down the constituent components and breaks these particles into the constituent pieces of matter, as well as, sometimes form new pieces of matter that blink into existence momentarily. And they take pictures of it, and then they sit around and do calculations, try to figure out what these things are, where they went, how long their half-lives are, and so on. The Large Hadron Collider is going to get replaced eventually by a particle accelerator at CERN that's even bigger, that's like 4 or 5 times the size of the Large Hadron Collider. Someone else talked in here that was about the Higgs boson, the God particle. And yeah, basically we found the particle that's responsible for giving things mass. And that was a big deal because everyone was trying to figure out what it was, what piece of it that gave things mass. And the Higgs boson was the theorized thing, and they proved it existed. And that was a big deal for everybody. I'm not sure if have they awarded a Nobel Prize for that yet. They should. They should award one. Okay. Oop, super chat from Don Von Dudeward. Okay, Houston, you might already be aware, but a German ape made a squeeze simulator, bitecake.de simulator. Quite nice. Oh. Well, I have a chance. If I can I select that? And I've seen a couple of these simulators before. Control C, and if I go there, can I Control V? Okay, yeah, I played with a similar one to this before. Yeah, basically it's to see how much money you can sell your stocks for at some point. They're pretty fun to mess with. I recommend playing with them. Get it. All right, cool. Yes, check out that site. Yeah, and someone else said that Great Britain ran out of petrol today, which is wild. Don't you guys have a whole bunch of wells in the North Sea? Like, what are you doing with that oil? But, I'm going to come out and say it. Brexit was the dumbest thing Great Britain ever did. Absolutely. You guys really just shit the bed on that one. You should never have left the EU. That was really, really, really just short-sighted. And yeah, you guys are going to be paying for that for a long time. You're going to be stuck eating like grade D beef from the United States because we're not going to ship you our good stuff. And you're going to run out of food. You're going to have food shortages, petrol shortages. Your energy companies are all going bankrupt right now because you can't get natural gas or coal. Brexit was a really, really bad idea, and I'm sorry you guys are going to be paying the price for it for quite some time. And I hope you guys can figure it out because I enjoy Great Britain. I've had a nice time there, and I've got lots of lovely friends there. But none of my friends voted for Brexit, so maybe that's why I enjoy them. But man, you're gonna be facing some hard choices the next couple of years as you try to figure out how to get goods into your country. Yeah, it's good luck. That's the best I can say. M Super Chats. Hi Houston, happy birthday. You answered a question on Twitter I asked about La Palma Volcano the other night. I wanted to show you my appreciation. Cheers. Oh, my pleasure. Someone else asking, Joe Sullivan is asking, Super Chat, a volcano question. What would volcanic eruption on Mars look like? Oh boy, we have to bring up some, let's see here. Got to go to scene. Got to go to, oh, son of a biscuit. I did forget to attach my Chrome to something. Where is my Chrome button? Oh, there it is. Okay. Oh, now I gotta turn off Google Earth. Done. Turn off Google Earth. There we go. All right. So let's do Olympus Mons. So Olympus Mons is gigantic. It is about 80,000 feet tall from base to peak. Here's kind of a good scale. So it's huge. It's absolutely gigantic. There it is, like a giant pimple on the side of Mars. It's about the size of the state of Missouri. So something similar. As big as, or probably as big as like Austria, Hungary, and Czech Republic to put together. It's huge. Oh, here it is as how big it would be on Australia. Gigantic. Oh, there it is on France. So It's almost as big as France. It's about half the size of France. It is a huge, huge mountain, and it actually sticks above the Martian atmosphere. So when this mountain was pumping out all sorts of gases and eruptions, it did so outside of the Martian atmosphere. It basically, the Martian atmosphere is at one level. It was above the atmosphere and just spewed everything out into outer space. And then a whole bunch of stuff would eventually come raining down thanks to the gravitational pull of Mars. But a lot of stuff probably left the atmosphere and never came back. Got carried by the solar winds and went elsewhere. It's weird to think about a mountain that you climb, and by the time you get to the top of the mountain, you're in outer space. But that's the nature of Olympus Mons. And Olympus Mons got so big because there are no individual plates on Mars. There's no plate tectonics like we have on Earth, where we got these spreading ridges where things move apart, or plates where they crash together and one subducts or makes mountain ranges. We don't have plates moving around on Mars. So when there was a hot spot, just shooting magma up from the mantle, it just kept making a bigger and bigger mountain. So it'd be like if Hawaii, if we bring back Google Earth here, and we zoom out from Chile, and we go back to the Hawaiian Islands. Why? Because Houston is just super familiar with the Hawaiian Islands. And we see the Hawaiian Island chain, like the main islands here, and we have all these seamounts as the ancient islands, move past the hot spot. They no longer have volcanics. The ocean and wind and waves eroded away, and eventually they become like coral reefs, and eventually they move so far north, the water gets cold enough, the coral reefs die, and they dive under the ocean, and they carry their way on, and then they get sucked under Kamchatka Peninsula, where North America and Asia meet. Now, had this plate never moved, all of these seamounts will be part of one giant volcano, and we'd have a huge shield volcano that would be like Olympus Mons size. But because the plates keep moving and bits of this island chain keeps diving underneath Asia, means that what could be a gigantic volcano that you could hike to the top of and be in outer space is left as a decaying island chain that just moves along like a conveyor belt as the plate just keeps chugging along. So yeah, and if we zoom in on the Big Island, so the Big Island's where all the active volcanoes are. We have 5 main volcanoes. We have Kilauea, which is here, which is the one that's been erupting most recently. The biggest, Mauna Loa. Off to the west, we've got Hualalai, which is like 8,000 or 9,000 feet tall. Then we have Kilauea, Mauna Kea, which is the tallest, but not the biggest. It's dwarfed by the mass of Mauna Loa, but it's about 13,600 something feet tall. And then we've got Kohala, and Kohala is a now dormant ancient volcano that's fallen apart and eroding away. So it looks actually kind of like a series of mountains now. And off the coast, we have Luihi, which is an active volcano that's about 10,000 feet under the surface, but it's erupting like crazy. And in a couple thousand years, it will break through the surface, and you'll have either a new part of the Big Island or a new island entirely as this shield volcano pops up. And so you can tell that the islands are moving, and in a million years there'll be another volcano forming to the probably southwest of Luihi. And so that's kind of this shield volcano, which is 40, 50 miles across, is a microcosm of just how big and gnarly Olympus Mons. Oh, no, come back. Put you on. Turn you off. There we go. Olympus Mons is. This volcano is just absolutely huge. The caldera dwarfs the size of Mauna Loa. Mauna Loa is the biggest volcano we have on Earth. So, yeah. So what would an eruption look like? It would spray into space. Kind of, if we go to Io Volcano. Oops, I misspelled volcano. Yeah, I know how to spell volcano. There we go. So this is an Io eruption. It's kind of spurting into space here. Bloop. Io's volcanics are a little different than others because it's close enough to Jupiter, close enough to its sister moons that there's actually tidal forces that tug and pull on it. So basically it's like squeezing like a koosh ball or something, and that keeps the inside molten and hot, all that tugging and pulling. And so then it erupts, and it's very sulfur rich, so lots of yellow sulfur and little lakes, lava lakes on it, and sulfur lava lakes. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so volcanic eruptions in space do this weird geyserly plume because there's not any atmosphere to slow it down and make mushroom clouds and stuff like that. So they just kind of spray out into space, and then that's it. All right, so Big Houston. Oh, Miss Super Chat. Bones asks, thank you for being a positive role model for a sober life. Been a daily beer drinker my whole life. Gave it up last month. Congratulations, man. Way to go. It's a big deal. It's a big deal to make that change. So, yeah, proud of you. You know, if like, I'm a total square, but like none of my friends are. I'm pretty sure everyone I know drinks, smokes weed, does whatever. But I do have a rule in life that is, if you're an asshole when you drink, I'm just not gonna be friends with you. That's kind of the rough part of it is that you know, if you drink and you're happy and you're nice, cool, you can do your thing. I can be friends with you. But if it changes who you are into someone who's really mean, I'm just not gonna. Life's too short to spend my time with that. So, you know, if you want to live the sober life, fantastic. Join me, and I will embrace it, man. So, congratulations, good job. All right, make me proud. Nick Callis, you don't believe in shadow governments? I suppose you don't believe that adrenochrome either. Baby brains is the real beverage. Oh man. Why do you think Paul Rudd looks so young? See this, folks? See my 40-year-old face? This is what slurping on adrenochrome does for you. It makes you absolutely just so handsome. You just can't get enough of this stuff. It's really expensive though, so that's why I need you to super chat me. All right. Got some folks talking about the future of Tesla in here. I do think, you know, Tesla is a long squeeze play because they got shorted. So their stock price does not reflect at all their business fundamentals, much like GameStop or AMC or Metamaterial, or plenty of others that are out there that are all these squeeze plays. Because they do have issues with, you know, production, quality, customer service, things that have been absolutely nailed down by other auto companies over the years. And the other auto companies, they've got, you know, 100+ years of making automobile experience, and now they can just put batteries in all their cars and do the same thing because all the battery tech has existed for a long time. So, you know, they're up against the streamlined efficiency of a lot of automakers, and I don't know if they're going to be super viable in the future. They're, you know, the most valuable car company in the world, but they aren't even 40th in production of cars compared to other auto companies that exist. And like the new battery operated Porsche's pretty badass. Although the Volkswagen Group does have a lot of debt. It's, yeah. Will they be a battery company, as someone said? Resident Flea says they'll probably be a battery company down the road, possibly. But if GMG kicks the crud out of those lithium-ion batteries, man, I may not be able to do that. Dr. Stonk, can you do a quick round of Geoguessr under 200 miles? I missed the last one on Twitch. Oh boy. All right, you guys want to play a game of Geoguessr with me? Let's do it. Let's, okay, I got to go to scene. I got to go back to Chrome. We're on Chrome. Okay, let's go to Geoguessr. Oh. No, go to Geoguessr. Don't just go to the. There we go. All right. This is the. I played this a couple of times on Twitch. Yeah, I am loving this game. It's really simple. So, go somewhere in the world, and it will show you the Google Street View, and you got to try and figure out where you are. So, judging from this, we are obviously somewhere in Europe. That's a very European road. Those are very European houses. We're driving on the right side of the road, so we are not in anything Great Britain influenced. What, you got an address? There's 57. All right, let's run along and see where in Europe we are. It is fall. It is a lot of houses. There's a cross street. Come on, give me a cross street. There's a cross street. All right, this is looking very Eastern European. Pivo, Ojusko. It's a calf bar. Okay, let's. Are there road names here? Do you have road names in your town? Oop, what's that say? I can't read. I can't tell. Sometimes these little signs will tell you like the name of the hospital of the town you're in. No, get back. Do. Ambulance. I can't tell. All right, what country code is 043? I don't know. Are we 043? Are we in Poland? Where are we? That might be a sign that tells me what town I'm in. Whoop, too far. Get closer. Get closer, you little stinker. One more. There we go. All right. So Darver is 49 kilometers away, and Gersnica is 31. Now what's the name of the road I'm on? Tell me. If you tell me the road, I can jump into Europe and figure out where I am here. Okay, we're going to go this way, and maybe we'll find something that tells me what road I'm on. Name your roads. No, that's an address, but that's not the name of your road. Right over here. Nope. Go there. Go there. Tell me. I can't read you either. Ah! What happened? No, you go back over there. Stay here. Okay. Well. Oh. That doesn't tell me a road. That doesn't tell me a road either. Name your roads, man. Okay. That might tell me Intimate Road. Go there. Zagreb. Oh, maybe we're in Croatia. We're in Croatia? Zagreb's 85 kilometers away. Let's zoom in. Whoops, that's not Europe. Croatia. There's Zagreb. Okay, so if we are 85 kilometers from Zagreb, and we are, what was the other? I already forgot the name of the other place. And we are from Duravar in Garsnica. Duravar. Boom. So we're 49 kilometers from there, 85 kilometers in there. We're just going to do a quick guess that we are somewhere perhaps around here. Sound good? Boom. Guess it. 15 miles away. Not so bad. All right. See? Geoguessr. If I bring up Google Earth and I start playing with this thing, I played a game last night where I averaged like 4 yards away from all my points. So that's not too shabby. 15 miles away. I just had the wrong highway. Should have been guessed on this highway. But there, Geoguessr, Dr. Stonk. That make you happy? All right, let's go back. Let's go back to the main show, and you can watch me fart around with this on Twitch at some point. All right. Okay. Adam in the Sea says Ford's gonna be electric vehicle competitor. Oh heck yeah! I mean, Volvo's got Polestar, and Volvo says in the next 4 years they're not going to make combustion engines anymore. They're going to be all electric. So there's, and you know, if those GMG batteries pay off, then gasoline's done. Other than just having the pure pleasure of going with a muscle car, there's gonna be no need for it. I mean, I'll switch to electric if the batteries last as long as they do, doing my prospecting, simply because if I can get 1,000 miles out of a battery, I can pretty much go anywhere and head out into the desert for days at a time and not have to worry about getting trapped out there. So yeah. Oh, Ricardo says it's supposed to go to the Nazca lines in the Peruvian desert. All right. uh, yeah, there's Nazca lines out there. They're pretty cool. Greg Nielsen says, I think people post bogus coordinates just so they can see the second time when Houston watched again. Ah. All right. Wetson, hi Houston. Thank you for all the great info. Would you be able to do a charity stream for the National Multiple Sclerosis Society? Plan to use my attendees for stem cell therapy. Yes, I can do maybe October's. I promised I was going to do this Tuesday is Charity Tuesday, by the way. I'm going to do one for a charity for blind people, for the vision impaired. So that's going to be this Tuesday. I haven't quite narrowed down which charity it's going to be yet. I've got about 10 of them I'm looking at. But it's going to be this Tuesday is going to be charity for vision impaired. We can do multiple sclerosis for October. That's awesome. Let's set it for fourth Tuesday in October. Will be charity for multiple sclerosis. I like that. Done. All right. National Multiple Sclerosis Society. So a particular one that you want. So let me write that down. National Multiple Sclerosis Society. Okay. All right. That could be October's. All right. Different Lime. You can also play an interesting world map. It's curated so you don't get empty roads in the outback. Also, there's Battle Royale. I should do Battle Royale and play with people. Although I do have a fun time when I get middle of nowhere. Because I have to guess, like, okay, we're in Boreal Forest. Am I in Russia, Canada, or Scandinavia? And I guess one. When you're like in the Australian outback, it's pretty easy to figure out what continent you're on. There's Dr. Stonk. Thank you, Dr. Stonk. Yeah. Jay Shimmy, professor, teaching this semester live, online, or hybrid. How do you feel about this semester? I'm teaching, yes, I'm teaching in person with a small class in a very large theater room. Teaching math to art students, math to film students this quarter. So I'm doing that. I did it online last year where they're very, very small. There was only like 4 students, and now there's 16, 17. They're going to be in this class. So it's going to be interesting doing it in person after doing it online. Like, can I remember how to teach in person? It's going to be weird having a whiteboard because I am not very good with writing or drawing with my mouse. Trying to like show, all right, let's try this mathematical equation for you guys to see. Does not turn out very well. But we're gonna get there. My school requires vaccination, requires masks, and you actually have to like take a test about proper pandemic protocol to even be allowed on campus. So they're doing their part. I'm not too worried about it. If everybody's vaccinated and everybody's wearing masks, we should be fine. So. Chicago Transit Minority Charity for the Vision Impaired is the SEC or benefactor. The SEC Charity for the Blind. Yeah, Treasury lost a third of their cash on hand today. They're down to 174 billion. They spent 98 billion today. So we'll see what Monday has in store. Monday, the Senate says they're going to vote on the debt ceiling, but the Republicans say they're going to filibuster. So should be interesting to see what happens with the stock market on Monday if the Republicans are filibustering all day and we dwindle in our cash reserves. Corporate taxes were due on the 15th. It doesn't look like we had a big bolstering of corporate taxes to fill the coffers for the federal government. So, yeah. T-Soul 1323 asks, will ruling an overstock case help metamaterial? I don't know how it would help metamaterial. Metamaterial hasn't mentioned they'd be doing anything with a crypto dividend. It'll help GameStop for sure. If GameStop is thinking about doing things with NFT or crypto in any shape or form. The ruling was with prejudice, which means no one can appeal the ruling. That's as far as it goes. You cannot go further. It's done. So yeah, the and basically the judge said the arguments that the shorts had that were, hey, they're purposely trying to hurt us. Basically, the judge was like, boo hoo, oh, cry me a river. It's the job of a company to try and survive, and if surviving means destroying some shorts, then that's okay. Destroy some shorts. So the ruling's great for GameStop especially. Okay. Adam in the Windy City, I got into OSTK today in pre-hours and it popped. Well, good job. Good job. Oh, Project Sun's got something for me. Let's see here, Project Sun. Where are you taking me? Let's go back to the scene, back to the Google Earth. And we'll paste it. See what happens. Control V. We're going somewhere. Going Northern Hemisphere. We're going North America. We're going to this. A highway interchange. Are we at Denver International Airport? Is that where we are? Yes, we're at Denver International Airport. So this here must be the blue demon horse statue, I believe. So there you go. Kind of see it's blue. There it is. There's the shadow. So the blue demon horse. Yeah, there's all sorts of weird conspiracies about the Denver International Airport that it was made by like Satanists or something. And so the only time I'd ever been in the airport in Denver was pre this airport. It was the older airport back in the 80s. And it was my first time ever experiencing a moving sidewalk. So it'll forever be, in my brain. And they built the new airport, and only times I've been to Denver at this point as I've driven there. I haven't flown into Denver at all, so I've never been in the newer airport. But yeah, there's lots of conspiracy theories about the airport that like it was built by Nazis and by Satanists and all sorts of things. But yeah, the Blue Devil horse. Let's see if we can pull the Blue Devil horse up on the ye old. Oops, come on, go there. Denver Airport horse. There we go. There's the Blue Devil horse. Glowing eyes. Look at that thing. Big old schlonger. There we go. Yeah, so they got this giant blue devil horse that hangs outside. There's an awesome picture with the clouds. That is public art, man. That gets people talking. That's what art should be. It should be friggin' heavy metal everywhere. Just skulls and crossbones and devil horses. Just heavy metal all the way. That's what I'm all about. Let's do it. Let's have ourselves some just badass devil horse, giant swinging balls and buttholes on that devil horse. Congratulations. This is your public art right there. Good times. Good times, Project Sun. There we go. Virgil Aldea. Hey, Houston, what is going to happen with crypto in China and what impact can have on AMC and GME? Yeah, so China just basically said that you cannot trade crypto. You can't send crypto to China. You can't send crypto out of China. They do this like 3 or 4 times a year. And I think it's their way of manipulating the crypto market. CXC coin. Let's see here. CXC coin. I think just had another big ol' pop today. Oops. A month. Yeah, so we just recently had a huge explosion in the coin price. It went from 3 cents to $3 and change. Oh, you can't see it because I forgot to turn on the scene. There we go. It went from like 3 cents to $3 and change. This is the coin that had that weird explosion back in April, where it went to like thousands of dollars a price from fractions of a penny. So it was down. Oh, sorry, it was down 1 cent, 2 cent, 4 cent, and then was it April? Yeah, April. It went to like $3,000. I think it peaked at like 3,500 somewhere in there, out of nowhere, and it was purely from trading between two the options houses and hedge funds were just pumping it back and forth for a day, and whoosh, to $3,000. And all of a sudden, had a market cap of like 400 billion, which I think staved off a whole bunch of margin calls for folks. And then it got a little more reasonable. Somewhere in here, somebody, while it was at $3,000, somebody bought a whole bunch for $11 and then resold for $3,000 like an hour later. Absolute killing it, man. But this was a coin that was not traded on a normal exchange like crypto.com or Coinbase or any of those things. We had a pop to $5 there. Interesting. All right. But CXC coin, I've been told, has a bunch of ties to Chinese things as well. So we saw a pop from them. But what we'll have as a impact total, I don't know. The Chinese government right now is doing weird things with their currency, with the companies that are in their country, and with crypto. We've got Bitcoin mining operations all over China that are making a fortune, but they're not allowed to move that Bitcoin anywhere. So it must just be getting stockpiled or something in mainland China. I mean, not just Bitcoin, but there's also mining of Zcash and Ethereum and all sorts of stuff in these big mining operations they have. So I think when China says, hey, no more of this crypto business, what they're really doing is they're manipulating the market and they're holding back supply, kind of like OPEC does with oil, to force the price go up, and then they sell it anyway. Because how are you going to keep people from selling their crypto? As long as they're hooked up to the internet, they can sell crypto all they want. So I think it's a lot of lip service, because that stuff can definitely get around with VPNs, get around Chinese minders, government minders. Okay. Christopher McKinney super chats. If you don't mind, we'd love to have you on join Astro's Discord. Need some bath verified. I think you'd like the DD that's been found. Yeah, you guys were doing work with fractals, showing that the trading is matching some fractal mathematics. I've been in contact with Astro and a couple people from the Discord. I just haven't had a chance to come by and check it out for sure. Maybe at some point this weekend I can jump in. We'll see if I got a couple hours where I can carve away and hang out with you guys. But I'm right at the beginning of the quarter, so trying to schedule stuff right now is just... I put everything off. I went to Hawaii. I did no work whatsoever as to getting ready for the start of the quarter. And now the quarter starts on Monday, and I'm not ready. So a lot of this week has been catch up for me. So yes, I'm gonna swing by. I'm gonna swing by the Discord, and I'm gonna talk to you guys. Hopefully, at some point this weekend, I'll have a chance to chit chat with some people. Yes, but thank you for the invite. And I'm also maybe Monday night be able to hang out with Astro on his channel, and we'll be able to talk then. Simon Martin asks, what are your primary news services that you use? Oh man, I have got a few subscriptions. I subscribe to Seattle Times, the Bainbridge Review, my local paper. I subscribe to the New York Times, Washington Post, and Le Monde Diplomatique, which is a big French international paper. Le Monde might be the best newspaper in the entire world as far as like in-depth of stories around the globe. And then, I just consume anything else that comes in front of my eyes. Yeah, so those are the ones that I pay to subscribe to. And then, I read the local paper and the Seattle Times cover to cover every day. And then my subscriptions to Le Monde, Washington Post, and New York Times allow me to basically read whatever articles I want of interest if things pop up that interest me. But I don't get paper versions. I just have digital versions of those subscriptions, so I don't have like cover to cover to read. And like if you're going to read Le Monde, you basically have to spend the entire day reading. It's like the Sunday New York Times. Like, you cannot physically read the entire Sunday New York Times. It just isn't possible. No one has that kind of time to read every single word in there. It's like reading a giant novel every Sunday. Yeah. Oh, Apollo God once suggested playing Geoguessr. Thank you. I'm addicted to it. And I got a perfect score last night where my average was under 6 yards to every single spot. And I felt really good. Except I kind of cheated because I had Google Earth going in the other window. And so when I found cross streets, I could Google them. But without, I think my record is without using Google Earth. My record is 19 yards to a point. I've had a couple where just out of pure whim, like I think it's about here, click, and I've been within like 2 miles out of just pure guess without moving my map around. Pretty good. Okay. Josh Walker, happy birthday, Houston. Do you think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame? Better or worse than PEDs? I think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame, but he should be in the Hall of Fame, and it should talk about how he got in trouble and how he's a giant asshole. I mean, he's one of the greatest hitters of all time, and the Hall of Fame needs to recognize that. For those of you who aren't baseball savvy, Pete Rose has the record for the most hits in a career of anyone in baseball, and he also was a manager of the Reds for a time, and he got in trouble because he is a gambling addict and just an all-around asshole, and he was gambling on baseball, which you are not supposed to do. If you are playing that sport, you should not be gambling on it. Apparently, he never gambled on any Reds games, so he had some ethics. But I mean, Michael Jordan gambled and gambled and gambled, and definitely has a gambling addiction. And you know, he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame, and he probably definitely gambled on basketball. I know he says he didn't, but I bet he did. He gambles on everything. You would, you know, he's like the guys. What was that movie, Rat Race? Like John Cleese is managing this weird race, the people scavenger hunt race, and the people who are betting on them, he's doing sorts of weird betting games, like which maid can hang from this pole the longest, and people are betting on it. Michael Jordan's that kind of better. He bets on everything. And you know, he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. I mean, he got busted doing all sorts of things he shouldn't have been doing. So why can't Pete Rose be? You know, the Black Sox scandal that happened from the 1917 World Series, was that 1916 World Series? One of those. Shoeless Joe Jackson was blackballed from baseball and not allowed to ever play baseball again. He was like, I had nothing to do with that. I batted almost 400 during the 1917 World Series. I tried to win games, and they still just banned him from baseball because they didn't know who on that team had been part of that gambling operation. And with the Black Sox, basically, a mobster came along and was like, hey guys, you are going to lose this World Series, and I'm going to pay $90,000. And the guys on the team were like, okay. And apparently Shoeless Joe was like, no, sir, I will not do that. And he got kicked out anyway. So, but, you know, his baseball bat sold for like $1 million, Black Betty. So he's got that going for him. Jejin Lee asked, do you think we'll get a pop on metamaterial before 10/15/21? I sure want one, because that's when all my options are expiring. So, yeah, I think next week is going to be the week to watch, mainly because of the debt ceiling issues. If the Republicans can successfully filibuster the debt ceiling, and the Democrats aren't in lockstep, they can't get the 50 votes needed to break that filibuster using budget reconciliation, then we are going to see a weird market next week, doing all sorts of crazy things, because we're going to hear about nervous investors and anxious investors and doom and gloom about the possibility of defaulting on that debt and what it means. The American public still isn't quite aware of the damage that defaulting on debt can cause, and we are we're in a weird spot So Monday is going to be the thing to look at and see what happens with the market overall. And yeah. Chris Alves, people complained about the DIA horses' genitals, so they removed them. Aw, that's not very metal. All right. Oh shoot, my thing just reset again. Let's get back up here. Okay. That's Pete Rose question. The dip before the rip. Brandon T says, dip before the rip. At the start of the eventual market crash, do you think hedgies will continue to aggressively short AMC and GME? I think they're doing it right now. We saw them go positive beta on Monday when the rest of the market went. So did a whole bunch of other things. They pushed that down as far as they can while they can, hoping to shake people loose. But I don't think anybody shakes things. I think the paper handlers are done. They're out. They're gone. So their goal of shaking people loose by continuing to short doesn't work anymore. We just buy it up. That's what we do. So paper handlers are done. They're gone, and they're stuck using the same tactics they've had for months now. How long will they be able to aggressively short AMC and GME remains to be seen. I'm sure the market makers will last longer doing that than the hedge funds will, because the hedge funds are probably going to face capital requirements or meeting margin requirements with capital and cash that they might not be able to do if they continue shorting like that. So, like everything, man, we will see. We'll see. I'll just say that over and over again. AMC Bull says, hey guys, when the MOAS hits, I'll spend the first week relaxing watching every season of the Rockford Files. It's a good... I can endorse that. Rockford Files is great TV. Okay. Is the MOAS still on? Yes. Yes, it is. Josh Walker says the crypto in China is getting moved to North Korea. All right. I have no way of verifying that. Apollo God says, thank you for doing the charity for visually impaired. I get paid on Tuesday, so everything works out. Awesome. Fantastic. Hopefully, like the last time, we'll have an awesome green day and we'll raise a bunch of money for folks. I mean, we did I think it was like $25.88 total in the end for a second story for all those, poor kids. Man, you guys warm my heart so much to see that. Like, we raised more money for that charity than like the big YouTubers make in a day, which is awesome. Like the guys that have like 1 million subscribers, they don't pull that in super chats in a day. We did that just for charity. That kicked butt. I thank you for that. That just was so awesome. So let's do it again on Tuesday. Okay. Josh Walker, Houston, do you think North Korea would nuclear strike first? North Korea's entire goal is to saber rattle and then try and get try to strike some sort of deal to get aid and money. U.S. diplomacy towards North Korea has been so inconsistent and weird. Like, the Clinton administration sent Madeleine Albright to North Korea right at the end of the administration. Madeleine Albright was the highest ranked U.S. person to ever go to North Korea. She met all the big wigs, and we established this treaty with the International Atomic Agency, and North Korea was going to shut down their weapons production stuff. And we had all these inspectors from the IAEA in there, and those folks were monitoring everything. And then the Bush administration came in and pulled all of the inspectors and then gave North Korea tens of millions of dollars and then complain that North Korea was building weapons again. It was the weirdest. Like, what? You had this agreement. Why did you take the people who were inspecting and making sure they weren't building weapons and then give them tens of millions of dollars? It was the weirdest thing. Absolutely the weirdest thing. And then, now North Korea has nukes. Congratulations. Yay, us. And so now they're nuclear power. Their missile technology has gotten a lot better. They probably can reach continental U.S. now with one of their ballistic missiles, but I don't think they have much in the ability of aiming them. They kind of just lob them in a direction and hope they get somewhere. Probably Seattle. So, where I live, I'm in the middle of like 7 or 8 first strike zones, and we'll have to face that. P long stock, your floor on MOAS. Well, it depends on which stock you're talking about. Like I said, I'm gonna sell my first share of GameStop at 100K and then work my way up from there. And I'll be in the tens of millions at some point along the line with everybody else if everything goes the way I think it's gonna go. So, I think the floor for GameStop is in the millions easily. Now, we'll get there. All right, interweb user. What a great generic name. Do you think GME could become so liquid from computer share transfers that it gets delisted? Could this trigger MOAS if they decide to move shares elsewhere? I don't think it will get delisted. I think the fear is that it'll become so illiquid that it won't qualify to be put in the S&P 500. So if you don't have enough liquid shares, then you don't qualify to get into the S&P 500 because companies that have too much of their stock locked up and not available on the exchanges to trade don't meet those qualifications. So if right now GameStop, capital-wise, earnings-wise, meets the cut to become an S&P 500 company, they just need, I think, a PE ratio for 3 quarters in a row. I can't remember what level it is. There's some level that the PE has to make for 3 quarters in a row for them to be on the S&P 500. But for me, the biggest issue with computer share is the fact that it can take a long time to sell shares. So if you want to sell shares and the MOAS is happening and you're in computer share, it could take days or weeks to sell those shares. Because you literally have to write them instructions like, hey, dear sir or madam, I want you to be able to sell my shares for this. And then they wait until a whole bunch of people are asking for the same thing and they pool those shares and then sell them. It's a very, very, very slow process. So that's the reason why I'm just not going to bother. I'm happy with Fidelity. I'm going to stay with Fidelity and do that. If people want to move to computer share, more power to you. Just know that's going to be much more difficult to get your shares sold if you're in there and not on a brokerage. Okay. Space Monkey asked, do you know about Eruption Lake in India? Check it out. Hundreds of dead people in the lake and no one knows why. What? I did not hear about that. That is, we're going here and we are going to type in Eruption Lake. Dead people. Lake of Skeletons. What? How come I never heard of this? It's really, really, really high up there. 16,000 feet? Holy smokes. Eruption Lake. Go away. Okay. Steep slope, trestle, group of 3 Himalayan peaks. So 16,500 feet. That's way up there. That's really high up there. India's highest mountains. Let's see what we've got. Skeletal remains of 600 to 800 people have been found in there. What? Huh. What? How come I never heard of this? This is heavy metal also. This is like the lake version of the Caverns of the Bastille, man. Huh. Could have been victims of an epidemic, could have been victims of battle. This place is heavy metal. This is awesome. This is okay. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. How come I never knew about this place? This is so cool. Man. All right. Heavy metal. They. Wow. That's cool. Okay. Thank you, Space Monkey. That place is awesome. I'm going to read up on that more. Dude, that's so rad. Okay. Abe West asks, Houston, how close do you think the MOAS is? If we default on the debt ceiling, it is super close. If not, we may be waiting for a GME NFT, whatever shenanigans they got planned for that. I think whatever they have is definitely a checkmate situation. And they've got the biggest brains who work in blockchain in the entire world. They've enticed over to GameStop. Now think about 5 years ago, right? You got all these guys making Ethereum, Litecoin, Dash, whatever. You got all these folks making all these new cryptos and trying to figure out new things they can do with it. And can you imagine the most badass thinkers and programmers in blockchain working for GameStop 5 years ago? What was it that Ryan Cohen said to these guys to make them go, oh, hell yeah, I'm in? It has to be diabolical. It has to be absolutely mind-blowingly creative, and it has to be absolute game changer to get those folks to come and be part of GameStop of all companies. So whatever they got planned there is going to change the world for sure. Folks want metamaterial updates. I don't think there is too much to update at the moment. We still have, what we're sitting with metamaterials is metamaterials itself is shorted 15-20% somewhere in there. Torchlight, which is delisted because they merged, still has probably hundreds of millions, if not upwards of 1 billion shares that were naked shorted that still have never been rectified. We still have Torchlight options trading. We've got the preferred share dividend that went to all the Torchlight customers prior to the merger. And they could be sitting on either a cash dividend that's worth several dollars, upwards of $20 each, or there's a possibility that if the oil fields aren't sold, that a new oil company, since oil prices are skyrocketing, that a new oil company is formed, and all those preferred shares turn into shares of this oil company, this privately owned oil company. And if you have a privately owned oil company that's not trading on an exchange, then that can force recalls, stock recalls. So there's still a couple of plays left there, and we're waiting because we had, metamaterial was short restricted, the T35s all evaporated, and there was never enough volume to cover any of that stuff. So we're in a holding pattern, folks. Pastor Blunt around. Royal Bank of Canada and HSBC are among the biggest holders of Evergrande bonds. Anyway, they take a big hit from this collapse. Well, Royal Bank of Canada might be really screwed on that. Theirs was, it's like 13 billion in bonds, something like that. HSBC, I think, was number 2 at 30 billion and something, if I remember correctly. HSBC is probably, after Deutsche Bank, probably the shadiest bank in the world. It's Hong Kong Shanghai Banking Corporation. And these folks make a whole bunch of their money, essentially money laundering drug money. That's HSBC. They money launder drug money for pretty much anyone and are constantly facing fines for being the bank of choice for drug runners, criminals, things like that. So they take a huge hit like that. I wonder what that means for all of their drug money people. They constantly keep getting busted for doing all that stuff. HSBC's got a huge presence in Mexico, and all the cartels just drop off, just truckloads of cash. And HSBC goes, "Oh, thank you. Did you sell your car?" And they're like, "Yes, I sold my car for $1 billion. Now put it in my bank account." So those HSBC's always been shady. Royal Bank of Canada, well, they're a bit classier. They're more of a classy bank. And for them to take a big hit like this represents probably all the cash they could have on hand, hope to have on hand. So they're screwed. And don't forget, BlackRock is 43 billion in bonds, which is about 10% of their entire holdings, because their assets are about 400 billion, and they're looking at 10% of their holdings basically evaporating, which is a big deal, man. That's a big deal. Okay, Bullish. Hey, Houston, just want to say hey. Well, hey, Bullish. Thank you for the super chat. Crisley asks, what's your MOAS floor for AMC? Because the float of AMC is 10 times larger than the float of GME, I just make it 1/10. So I figure I'll start my same sale plan, one share at a time, at the $10,000 level, and just work my way up from there. Do the same thing I'm doing with GameStop, just at an order of magnitude lower. Hey, Monkey Butt. Shannon R says hello. Can you say hi back, buddy? There you go. Here, I'll look at everybody. Just peeking through. Now you get a microphone that can set up on the other side so people can see Monkey Butt. P. Longstock. I live in Sweden. No fireflies here. Can you explain how they glow? Yeah, it's a bioluminescence. There's no fireflies where I am either. And actually, one of the things I have never seen, like the Aurora Borealis, I've never actually seen a firefly. The times I've been on the East Coast where fireflies are, they weren't out. So I've actually never seen a firefly itself. But they have a bioluminescence, which I think is similar to what like the phosphorescence of algae can be. Let's see here. Chemical reaction. So it's oxygen combining with calcium, adenosine triphosphate, and the chemical luciferin. In the presence of luciferase, makes a bioluminescent enzyme. Crazy. I would like to see one of the fireflies or lightning bugs, as people like to call them. I should just take a trip somewhere back east when they're actually flying around, because so many kids in America, like, their childhood is running around and collecting them and putting them in jars so they glow, and I never got to experience that because we don't have those here. We also don't have like poison ivy or poison oak like other people on the East Coast, so we kind of avoided that. So apparently that wasn't really solved until 2015. The actual chemical properties that all right, that's weird. Crazy. Yeah, so that's what it is. So basically I think it's the oxygenation of those chemicals is what lights things up. So it's the chemical reaction of oxygen combining with the ATP, the adenosine triphosphate, and luciferin. So when oxygen combines with those suckers, that's what makes it glow. It's kind of like little gasoline engines. Interesting. Little combustibles. Weird. There's also bioluminescent beetles of different kinds as well. Interesting. Huh. All right. You're going to get me going down a rabbit hole of looking at bug butts. Okay, let's get back to the chats. Alex, how you sin? If the market makers are responsible for the synthetic shares, do the hedge funds have a legal case against them, and could they weasel their way out of it? No, because what I think that the market makers are doing is when they create synthetic shares and they short these stocks, is that they're placing these stocks into equity swaps, and the equity swaps, the rights to which are leased by the hedge funds. So the hedge funds are definitely behind it. Hedge funds are saying, hey, market maker, you short this a whole bunch, you put it into this swap, and I will basically rent the swap from you. And renting the swap from you gives me access to the profits off of that short sale. And that's basically what they're doing. So the market maker shorts everything, short, puts into this package, takes the cash from that short, gives it to the short hedge fund, and then the hedge fund rents the rights to that short back. And it's a really weird financial mechanism, but it allows them to short as much as they want without ever having to report any of those shorts to Fintel, FINRA, Ortex, anything else. So the short interest never changes. And because the short interest never changes, and market makers have this loophole where they don't have to cover anything, it allows these shorts to exist essentially, as far as they're concerned, forever, and continue to trade around. Now, the interesting thing is, since the hedge fund is financially responsible for the gains or losses in that, and they're paying a rental fee to the market maker, who gets margin called on it? Does the market maker get margin called on it, or does the hedge fund get margin called on it? That's interesting. I don't know. I'm not sure which one will face just margin call everybody. Call in capital requirements the market makers that they can't meet and eviscerate them, and margin call the hedge funds and eviscerate those guys. Just eviscerate everybody. Get them all. Okay. All right, looking for some questions. All right. Daniel Sims says, read the most prominent theories that they died in a hailstorm. I mean, it is cold, miserable at 16,500 feet. Probably doesn't take much to push people into the death zone up there. Mark Beckier, Houston, what is the name of a good gem book? I just found out my 11-year-old daughter is interested in gems. Mark from New Jersey. There's a couple of good ones. When I was a kid, this one was my favorite, which is the Autobahn Society Field Guide. I don't know if you can read that sucker. Basically, lots of pretty pictures of different gemstones. And then inside, when she cares more and wants to read more about boring things like where they're found and what crystal habits they happen to have, there you go. There's also Simon & Schuster's, which is more similar. It's got all the pictures and the writing on the same pages. So shows these stones and then their writing. It's the Simon & Schuster version. That's great for like general North America where you can find stuff. And then each state has gem trails books. So there's like Gem Trails of California, finding gemstones in different places in California. There's the rock hounding guides, the falcon guides. These are the falcon guides. They're also really good. So they also show gem trails. It's like, so this one's just Northern California, and this is all of California. So there's also a Southern California one. What other ones we got here? Well, those are the big two, the Gem Trails books, and they make them for almost every state. And then there's ones like self-published ones, like Gems and Minerals of Wyoming by Dan Husel. Dan Husel is a brilliant, amazing geologist. He just kind of comes across as a bit of an asshole, and people don't like him personally very much. And while the info in here is absolutely incredible, sometimes he throws in stuff that you're just like, wow, that was really mean. Why'd you do that? So it kind of makes it a little hard to read if you care about that stuff. And he was part of the Wyoming Geological Survey, and he made incredible first discoveries of diamonds, rubies, sapphires, opals, gold, all sorts of stuff. And every time he found something, he'd be like, look what I found. Wyoming can make trillions of dollars off of this. The Wyoming state legislature, I think, hated his guts so much, they were like, no, we're going to make it illegal to mine that. And so like Wyoming just like cut off its nose just to spite Dan Husel. So those are the good books. There's also the roadside geology books, which are a little bit harder to read. It's like, this is Roadside Geology of Washington, and they show lots of trails and not just necessarily gemstones, but also like weird outcrops, and you can see where fossils might be, and um, stuff like that. Those are all really good books. Uh, I'd recommend those, and I'd recommend Ghost Town books. Ghost Town books are fantastic for going to like really mineralogically rich areas. So like the Bible of Ghost Town books is this guy that was published in the late '60s, early '70s, Ghost Towns of the West. There's a few versions out there. Some of it's pretty dated at this point, but I mean, it is a big sucker. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of ghost towns listed here. It's like the Encyclopedia of Ghost Towns. And there's a few that have been made since around the same time. There was a big ghost town push in the 50s, 60s, and 70s for people to go check these places out. And get in your home. And so there really hasn't been too much updating since then. There's ones that are, I'm just dropping stuff everywhere now. There's ones that are more specific, like this is Ghost Towns of the Northwest. So you got Washington, Oregon, and Idaho in here. It's a pretty hefty book. There's like specific ones that are Ghost Towns of California. So Ghost Towns of California. There's Ghost Towns and mining camps. That one's gonna be too hard to get out of the shelf. But I recommend those as well. Being in New Jersey, the Gem Trails books might be a little bit limited because there's not as much federal land or state land you can go play around on and look for stuff. It's a lot of private property in the East Coast. So I'm not sure how extensive those will be. There are a lot of places that are privately owned and will let you go like mine stuff. You can go up to New York and go to Herkimer and go mine Herkimer diamonds, which are these really big, cool, very clear quartz crystals. And you pay a fee and you can go smash rocks and pull out the crystals yourself. So you can do stuff like that. But most of the access you're going to have to come out west to get to the big swaths of federal land to mine for stuff. So yeah, do it. Get them out there. Get hiking. Get camping. They'll love it. It's so much fun. So Rockhound guides, Falcon guides, Gem Trail books, and either Simon Schuster or Autobahn Society mineral books. Those are the best. Okay. Let's see here. Josh Walker, thanks for taking my question. Do you think we be able to bring the American chestnut tree back to its former glory? Possibly. One of the biggest problems with urbanization is that they plant male trees everywhere. And it's one of the reasons why my allergies just kick my butt every spring, is that we've got trees that are just jizzing like crazy all over the place and no lady trees to accept that and turn it into fruit, because no one wants to clean up the fruit. And if we had a little bit more lady trees, we would be able to have a lot more chestnuts, especially. Like on the East Coast, the Chinese chestnut trees appear to be taken over. Those are the ones with like the really spiky green balls that when I was a kid we would pick and throw at each other, and it hurt like hell. Collect buckets full of them, just have Chinese chestnut fights, which were just stupid. But, take one of those to the head and cry to your mom, and then they would stop that, and the next day you do it all over again. So you can get it back to glory. It's just going to take some foresight on our part, and we can just stop planting male trees and just mix it up a little bit so we can have some seeds. Because without having chestnuts actually produce on the trees, you aren't going to be able to have any more future chestnut trees. Bill Coyne, could China actually be manipulating everything in their country to force something bad in the USA? I don't think China wants to force anything bad in the USA. It doesn't help them. They make stuff, we buy it. So if we can't buy things from them, then it hurts them. So the United States hasn't been doing a good enough job in the last couple of decades with soft diplomacy. I've talked about this in the past, but we've got China's One Road, whatever they're calling it, where they're spending $1 trillion around the globe to build infrastructure all over the place in, Ethiopia, in the Congo, in Brazil, in Nicaragua, in Borneo. Like, they're spending $1 trillion building ports, airports, roads, trains, all sorts of infrastructure, so that they can then get access to the resources in these countries, because they need those resources for their factories where they build stuff and sell it to us. And the United States used to do this. We used to do this a whole bunch, and we ruined that. I talked about this in the past. I can't remember if it was on my show or if I was guest starring on someone's show. But we used to do lots and lots of soft diplomacy. And then what we discovered was this book, Confessions of Economic Hitman by John Perkins, who's also a neighbor of mine, was a New York Times bestseller, and it is eye-opening. But we used to go into other countries, build them roads, build them ports, improve their school systems, purely based on I won't say altruism. It was in an effort to combat communism. Like if we help them and we turn them into, America 2.0, then they won't run to the communists. And what ended up happening was we could exploit the hell out of them. So we would use the IMF and World Bank. We go to Indonesia, let's say, and say, hey, Indonesia, you said you want to be able to get these new, ports built. We can help you do that. You just have to, we will give you billions of dollars to do that. You just have to turn your currency into a fiat currency. You got to open up your ports to your imports to American chicken and American milk. And then we will help you do this. Oh, and when we give you this money, it's actually a loan. So when we give you this loan, you have to actually hire U.S. contractors to build whatever it is, and then you owe us money. So they open up their economy to our products when they have local ones that do just fine. We flood them with a cheaper U.S. product than what's locally, destroy all their local businesses. We give them a giant loan of billions of dollars to build a hydroelectric dam or a port or something. And then we force them to use our contractors to build that stuff. So here's $40 billion. Now you owe us $40 billion for all the work, and you owe us $40 billion in the loan. And all of a sudden they're screwed. Other countries started getting in on it with the World Bank. So in Brazil, when South America had their huge economic crisis in 97, the IMF and World Bank went in to stabilize currencies and to build infrastructure and whatnot. And so the Bank of Tokyo, the Bank of Mitsubishi, the Bank of Tokai, they all jumped on board with the World Bank. Hey, we will sponsor these loans to Brazil, but Brazil has to use this $40 billion to build a huge hydroelectric dam, and they have to contract Mitsubishi Electric to do it. So Japan sent $40 billion of loan to Brazil. Brazil then had to take that $40 billion, spend it on Mitsubishi Electric, and then they owed that money to the Bank of Tokyo. Well, Bank of Tokyo is owned by Mitsubishi. So Mitsubishi essentially lent money, got it back again, and then they owed them the money all over again. So it's a great way to make a pile of cash a couple times over. So our diplomatic efforts went from sort of helping these countries to we're screwing you over to now we're not doing anything. And China is the one jumping in there and filling that void, helping countries out. And I'm sure that they're probably leveraging them as well, that they're making them pay loans on these things as well, because, that's what you do. You screw as many people as you can to get as much money as you can, and that's the way it works. But I recommend especially read this book. It's mind-blowing. There's an updated version that's pretty recent. So John Perkins, his job was to be that guy to go in and destroy economies just so that the World Bank and IMF could figure out ways to manipulate and get a lot of cash out of them. Amazing book. And get the updated version. This one's from, I think, 2004. So it's not that new. Why don't you show... Oh yeah, this is the 2006 printing. So there is a slight update, but there's a more recent one from a couple of years ago that's more up to date. It's got a few more pages in it. But Confessions of an Economic Hitman by John Perkins is a must read for everybody. Yeah. So, all right. While I was rambling, what did I miss? A lot. Holy smokes. All right, so that's where Bill Coyne's question was. And AM7 says, I live in the East. I used to see fireflies back when I was little. Now I don't. I wonder what happened to them. I have no idea. AMC Bull said they got fireflies in St. Louis. All right. Resident Flea, Houston, you said AMC announces there are shorted shares. Yeah, where's that tweet? Heck, I should have linked to the tweet. Somebody had a screenshot of AMC, I think the AMC investor website that said something like, all of this has, is what should be, but there's some little disclaimer about we cannot fathom or speculate how many shorted shares there are out there. But if there are shorted shares that it is done so illegally, because there seems to be more shares trading than should be, something like that. I'm totally paraphrasing it terribly, but I should have linked to that. Look for on Twitter. There's it's posted sometime today on Twitter. I'll try to find it and get it and retweet it for everybody when I find it again. Sorry, I should have done that. Put in the link in the description, but I totally didn't because I'm a scatterbrain right now. Projay's son asks, Houston, what is your spirit animal? Iced tea? He's my spirit animal. Okay. Crisley says, I don't mind if the squeeze doesn't happen this year. It gives me more time to build my crypto portfolio and then sell and put back into GME and AMC. By all means, get it. Get whatever you can. Apollo God says, did you know that Kim Jong tried to get Michael Jordan to come to North Korea, but he wouldn't. But Dennis Rodman went in his place and is now friends with him. He also went to Putin's house. Yeah, Dennis Rodman is the weirdest accidental diplomat ever. Like, he's had more access to North Korea than pretty much any American spy, any South Korean spy. It's absolutely wild. And the dude is obsessed with basketball. It's life is weird sometimes. It's like was it Greta Garbo that became? I'm thinking of that became like a spy for the Allies against the Germans. Not Greta Garbo. I can't remember, but there's famous people get weird access to things. Okay. Oh, Space Monkey's giving me some coordinates. Let's go there. Because it's Friday. Why not? 3:13. I got 15 minutes left, folks, and I got to bail. So, all right. Paste it. Let's go somewhere. Where are we going? Up. Oh, got maybe put a comma in there. What? All right. For some reason, it's not liking. Why don't you like my coordinates? What is wrong with you? Those seem like perfectly fine. Oh, that's because there's too many apostrophes in there. So we got to degrees. Oh no, got it in minutes. Okay, that's what's happening. Okay, delete that space. Delete that space. Will that work? Nope, that's still not working. Sorry. Oh, that should be minutes. That's why. Okay. You should be minutes. No, you should be minutes. You should be seconds. Making me edit. Okay. So you have to be seconds. Oh, nope, wrong one. Oh shoot, that was 44. There we go. All right, try that. Nope. Sorry, Space Monkey is not liking what I'm putting in for coordinates here. Oh, wait. Because it should be 43. 43 apostrophe. Dang it, just 43 apostrophe. There we go. Oh, finally. Making me reorganize these things. I can barely see. It's like my camera tripod's right in the way. Oh, there's Ripcoon Lake. Okay. Ripcoon Lake. Well, I think that's the lake. But, man, can you imagine having to climb up there? Or like drag 800 bodies up there? That's nuts. That is a terrible mountain pass to have to travel through. And to get where? Like, where are you going? I can't figure it out. Because there's a whole bunch of other hanging valleys. Where are you trying to get to when you're up there? That doesn't make any sense at all. Like, if you're trying to get into China up further north, you're going to take this pass. Like, what reason, or maybe pass through one of these? Like, why, of all the mountain passes in that mountain range, is that the one that has 800 bodies in it? You got to be really lost to go up there and do that. Crazy. How tall are the mountains that peak here? That sucker is 19,000. Yeah, that whole ridge line is 19,000 feet. 21,000. Dang. 23,000. So to get from this lake past this mountain range, you're 16,000 feet like the whole way. And if you pass on the other side, you just right back out on this valley. It doesn't make any sense. Why would anyone hike an army up there? How dumb do you have to be to do that? Some people, man. You want to make a mystery? Just put a bunch of dead bodies in the most useless, weird lake in the entire world. Danny J. Houston, what do you think the short interest on GME, and how would you estimate it? Okay. The way I was estimating it before was that I looked at the float, got 50 million. I looked at the claimed institutional ownership, which was at the time was like 150 million. Now I think it might be around 200 million. So it's several 100% of the float. And I looked at Geoguessr's original survey, which I think was like 160 million claimed shares by the U.S. and then another 40% ownership outside the U.S., which put us at 500 million plus shares, which is 10 times the float. Now, Geoguessr's more recent survey suggests it's higher than that. The registration of shares might put it higher as well. I mean, I wouldn't doubt if there's more than 1 billion shares. And if there's 1 billion shares, then we're at 2,000% float. And so short interest is 2,000%. It's at least 1,000%, if not more. So 2,000% probably isn't too drastic. And, upwards of several billion shares could be floating around, which would put it at, 4,000% or something. So it's high. It's well beyond whatever the float is, and they're going to have to buy it all back. Okay. Prawn says, did you see the theory from True Demon that he speculates that hedge funds are buying $1 call options and exercising them so the price doesn't change, then using those shares to short? Well, here's the thing, is that if you're buying $1 call options, right, you have to spend a small fortune to buy those call options, and those shares have to come from somewhere. And those shares don't exist because retail owns the float and then some. So if they're buying millions of calls in the money, deep in the money calls, and where are those shares coming from? It should be causing gammas like crazy because those shares don't exist. So what I think is happening is market makers create those naked calls. Hedge funds buy them, and it's just a way of passing the buck around and around and around. I don't know necessarily if it's making shares that can short, but it might be a way of creating naked shares in the end. Just more and more and more naked shares. So, yeah. Everton Lacerda asks, why market maker can short stocks? It's a loophole. the market makers are given a superpower, and sorry, make myself big again. Market makers are given a superpower to generate naked shares and sell them in order to keep liquidity passing through the market. So the idea is, if somebody wants a stock and there's any shares available and they're waiting and waiting and waiting, the U.S. government determined it's better to get that cash passing through the market than it is to have them sit there and wait and that cash not going anywhere. They want velocity of money. So they give the market makers this power to generate fake shares, sell them to that person who wants the shares, and then that money moves on. The idea is that the market maker is going to go out there and find the share somewhere else and actually replace that share with a real one. But they're not. There's a loophole in that they don't have to. That they can just not ever do that. And then that naked share just trades on and on and on forever. And it's a dumb loophole, and it needs to change. So the point was to keep money moving through the market, but what ended up happening was market makers work with hedge funds to short stocks that, out of existence, and we are where we are today as a result. Okay. Bobby Norwood, Houston, can the Koss family be trusted during MOAS not to sell prematurely? Probably not. I don't trust those folks. I've got some Koss shares. I feel like I should have sold them back in June when they hit $40 again, but I held on to it thinking that they'll pop like it did back in January. But the Koss family seems to be kind of scummy. So I do think that their stock is incredibly shorted, has gigantic institutional ownership. So keep your eyes peeled for if any of the members of the family notify the SEC that they're going to trade. So that might be a big indicator that a whole bunch of shares are going to reach the market and the price might. But they probably won't do any of that until the price goes back up to, what was it, January at 127 in January? So, we got, hopefully there's a bit more price action to play there. Boom. Okay, I got 8 minutes, folks. 8 minutes. Anna Rulnick asked, Houston, what the heck is going on with Evergrande? Are they just getting a big bailout from the government? Seems like nothing is triggering MOAS. What do you think? I think China is pretending like it's not as big a deal as it is. The last I heard was that China was going to take over Evergrande and break it into 3 companies. Well, what I think China is doing is they're going to make sure that the people in China who invested Evergrande get their money. They're not going to give a rip about people outside of China, because what are they going to do about it? They want to keep people from protesting the government and having hissy fits as a result. So they're going to make sure the folks in China get their money, or at least property or something, and then everyone else outside of China is on their own. And that reality, I don't think, has really hit the markets yet. That there's hundreds of billions of dollars in foreign-owned bonds in Evergrande, and probably Sicknick and other groups that are never going to see a dime of it. They're on their own, man. So, yeah. Okay. Looking for the questions. Bum, 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 bum. All right, where's a good one? Resident Flea, Marlene Dietrich, and Greta Garbo. So I think she was one of them. Yeah. That was helping spy for the Allies. Protege Sun writes, Lucifer, the demon horse, fell on and killed the artist during installation. That thing doesn't only look evil. Huh. There's one of your trivia facts for pub trivia. What's the body count of Lucifer? Anna Rolnick says, congratulations on your last show, which was completely glitch-free. Was it? Did I go glitch-free? I don't always go glitch-free. Oh, Kevin Kellogg writes, the PCR test is fraudulent. They're changing it at the end of the year. Too many false positives. No. PCR tests don't give false positives. They give false negatives. So we'll debunk that right here. How a PCR test works, and this is the big hand wavy way, is you take a nasal swab, and you jam it up someone's nose, and you squiggle it around, and you get as much crap out of the inside of their sinuses as possible, and you put it into a test tube. And that test tube, that nasal swab, then goes to a laboratory, like the University of Washington or wherever else is doing these PCR tests, and they put that sucker into an acid solution, which essentially breaks apart most of the stuff in there, and the C's, G's, T's, and A's that are on that RNA sequence, and they break them into pieces, and then they throw a whole bunch of C's, G's, T's, and A's into the solution, and they make more. Basically, how do I say it? So, no, I totally hand waved past the important part. So they RNA has the C's, G's, T's, and A's on one side. What they do is they want to make it into a DNA strand. And so the C's, G's, T's, and A's have only one pair that can pair with them. C can go with a G, and T go with an A, and so on. And so you turn it into a helix. So you pair them up, and then you rip them apart, and you force them to pair up again, and you rip them apart, and you force them to pair up. So you make all these different groupings of these fake DNA strands, and you do this again and again and again and again through all these different cycles, and you build up more and more and more of them, enough so you can actually look at it and say, yes, the virus is there, we're done. And the same thing if you're doing human genome, is that kind of what you do is you take the DNA of a person, you break it apart, and you force them to form new ones, and you break that apart, you force them to form new ones, and you break that apart, and you amplify it that way. So if when they jam that nasal swab up your nose and squiggle it all around, and they don't get any virus on there, and they don't have enough that they can actually replicate through this amplification process, the different cycles, then you get a false negative. You can't get a false positive. You just can't, because the only way you get a positive is if there's actually that RNA, that genetic code in the swab. So you can only get a false negative. You can't get a false positive with PCR tests. It's just not how it happens. And early on with the testing with these PCRs, about 30% of the time you had a false negative when someone was positive, was actually positive. And so like the guy who blew the whistle on the Chinese government and got the world to know about COVID, he had 5 false positives before five false negatives before he had an actual positive, and he died from COVID. So the tests have gotten a lot better. The reason why they're recalling tests right now is that they've got a new PCR version that can also test for A and B flus. So not only will it be just testing for PCR when they jam up your nose, they'll be looking for the flu viruses as well. So basically it can do multiple viral strains in one test, which is fantastic. And that's why they're changing them. But no, they don't have false positives. They only have false negatives. So there. All right. And I can do one more, hopefully not COVID related question before we end the show today. Okay. Kenneth Bean, how do you not sound crazy when talking about the MOS? Anytime I talk about it, I feel like Charlie from Always Sunny. I don't know. It's a gift. Maybe if I had like a giant paper trail of twine all over my room, that would help me get in that Charlie mode. All right. Jonathan K. asks, how can we create universal health care after the MOAS besides talking to our congressman? I think the big thing is to get other industry on board. You point out to them how much money they can save by moving to universal health care. when I did my universal healthcare showed episode 2, I think it was. So go back, look at episode 2. I talk about how Microsoft alone spends billions of dollars a year they don't have to on healthcare, on insurance for their employees, and these health maintenance funds and health savings accounts and things. Well, if we had a universal system, they could save billions a year, and that's billions a year that can be profit. They can go back to their shareholders. And I think if we can get those big companies, we can get the GMs and Fords and Boeings and Amazons and Microsofts and Apples all on board with universal healthcare and get those guys to lobby the government to do it because it's going to save them billions a year. I think that's our way of doing it. We have to outspend the healthcare lobby, the insurance lobby, and the folks that can do it are the big commercial and industrial guys that have lots and lots of employees. So I think that's how we win, is we outspend the insurance lobby to make sure that people vote to create universal health care. That's what we do. All right. All right. Okay, I'm at 3:30. I got to get going here, folks. Yeah. Oh, man, one more. Virgil Aldea, the guy who invented PCR, said in YouTube is not working. The guy who invented PCR is Kerry Mullins. And Kerry Mullins, PCR is a brilliant, brilliant, brilliant tool. Kerry Mullins fried his brain on LSD and basically was a gibberish monkey for the later part of his life. He's absolutely bonkers. He spent a good chunk of his adulthood taking LSD, sitting naked in his living room, looking at pornography, trying to turn light bulbs on and off with his mind. That's what he spent a large portion of his years doing. So he didn't think AIDS existed. He thought AIDS was totally made up and non-existent and wasn't real. And he also believes in astrology. And yeah, dude, Kerry Mullins was a whack job. He made a fantastic tool, which is PCR, and he won the Nobel Prize for it. But he also blew out his frontal lobe with drugs, and his later things can't be trusted. All right, so that got that rant out of my way. Moving on. I'll try to I might do a Twitch show later tonight if I have a chance, so you can watch me play some more Geoguessr. But all right. Anyways, I move on.